You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works, all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.
All right, folks. Well, happy Friday night. This is Robinson and Wright. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson. I'm also joined by Mr. Dan Wright today. We also have special guests from Jesse's POV. Jessica Sanders will be joining us for the first half hour of the show. Also, want to make sure you guys stay tuned. Second hour of the show, we have an interview with, and suddenly his name has escaped me. This is the crazy thing about not being the one in control. Yeah, folks, for the first time in a very long time, Dan is actually the one producing, so if I seem more flubbered and flabbergasted than usual, it's because I'm usually the one running the board and pushing the buttons and everything else, and I don't do well when I'm not the one multitasking. So I'm going to let Dan talk for a second because I'm sure he remembers the name of the guest, and I just it's not here, so I give up.
Yeah, it's actually J.D. Rutger, who is the gentleman who founded the Federalist Party. We did an interview with him, pre-recorded, and it was fantastic. I'm actually looking forward to listening to it myself.
Yeah, and then for some reason I kept wanting to say J.D. Winteregg, which is why I was like, okay, I don't need to say anything else because I remembered the J.D. part, but for some reason I kept wanting to say Winteregg. But anyway, so we're actually going to take things in a different direction for the first part of the show because, of course, there's been lots and lots and lots of stuff in the news, and our resident international news expert is actually with us this evening. So good evening, Miss Jess. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Rick?
If I was any better, it would probably be illegal in everywhere but, like, Colorado.
Well, yeah, my line of, my area of expertise has been making quite a bit of a kaboom lately, so to speak, Rick.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
Well, it's still early in Pyongyang. So last I checked on their Day of the Sun, they were in the middle of a military parade.
Yeah, fun times.
They do love their parades.
The little midget running around in uniform. That should.
Oh yeah, good old Quackers!
I'm so lonely.
No.
He's not so lonely anymore. There's a task force this way.
Well, even if he decides that the Day of the Sun isn't the day to do his nuclear test, which is guesstimated by the IC community to be 20 to 30 kilotons, then the outcome's not going to change, Rick. We're still going to hit him and hit him hard.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
No kidding.
The dude's nuts.
No kidding. I mean, that guy is just absolutely, as I usually say, absolutely quackers. I mean, I'm sorry.
Hey, who let the Aflac duck in here? They better be paying us some bills.
Well, that's what I think of Kim Jong-un. Now, to remind everybody, all the listeners who are not quite sure what's been going on this week, it has been a week of boom, jets, and all kinds of other crazy things. I mean, first of all, we launched 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles into Syria. Now, Rick, do you happen to know off the top of your head how many casualties we caused when we launched 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles?
Have we had a confirmed casualties list? Because I'm not sure I've seen one anywhere.
We don't have a perfectly confirmed one, but the number is so low from the speculated reports. So far, I've heard of 10. 6 civilians, 4 military.
So we threw 59 cruise missiles at the target, and we hit 10 people.
Yep. But see, you have to realize, we did this at 4:30 in the morning because we didn't want to cause casualties. We wanted to do damage to physical structures. Which, I have to say, Mad Dog, outstanding job. Outstanding. And Trump has admitted in multiple occasions that he is not trying to micromanage our military. He wants our military to be the ones in control. And he has basically said, you guys want to go for it? Go for it. Keep me in the loop. So, in fact,
honestly, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's freaked out as the left is over that, because I actually heard him say that in a press conference earlier today, that somebody had asked him about who gave the authorization to do some of the things that have been happening over the last week, and he's like, look, we have professional military people for a reason. Why would I not listen to the professional types and let them actually do what we pay them to do? And the left is having an absolute meltdown over that stance. To me, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you have these people that act as advisors. Why would you go against their recommendations when they do the job you don't?
Exactamundo. Now, Dan, do you know what special kind of bomb we threw into Afghanistan the other day?
A very big bomb. The mother of all bombs.
Oh, yes. Moab. Now, I have read through open online sources, and trust me, I am not telling tales out of school and not giving away any classified information, because anybody who knows me knows even if I knew any, I wouldn't tell you folks. But I read online that our arsenal of Moabs was all of 15. Yes, I said 15, so we are down to 14. Now, that bomb had been stationed in Syria for a number of months, as in more than 6, Rick. Now, who was president 6 months ago, anybody?
Not Donald Trump for 500, Alex.
Yeah, Mom Jeans. Or, as I used to call him, Turkey in Chief.
Well, I love hearing that people say that that cost us $314 million, which was actually the price on developing the bomb, which was developed during, I believe, the Clinton administration?
2003 was the first test I heard of it.
It was the Bush administration, I believe, when development actually happened. Bush.
Yes, it was. It was the second Bush administration. Now, what also makes this poetic justice in my little mind, and you know me, I pay attention to this stuff inside out, right side up, upside down, and backwards, Rick, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
The Green Beret, who was killed a week ago tomorrow, over in that region that we put the mother of all bombs in, well, he was stationed at Elgin Air Force Base. Now, would you care to take a guess, Rick, what Air Force Base first tested Moab?
Elgin Air Force Base?
Ding, 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 ding! We have a winner! If that isn't poetic justice, I don't know what is.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I had beef for dinner, thank you, but sounds good anyway.
I had hot dogs. I'm not talking anymore. They were all beef hot dogs, though, so I guess it technically counts.
It could count, definitely, in my book. Anyway, so we dropped the Moab. Now, do you know anything special about the Moab?
It is the largest non-nuclear bomb in our arsenal. and weighs approximately 26,000 some odd pounds as far as payload, I think.
Okay, this thing was carried over by a C-130 type plane, which is, for those of you listening who aren't familiar with plane designations, that is a large, and I mean very large, military cargo plane. And it is pulled out of the back of the plane by a drogue parachute. What is a drogue parachute? It's a little parachute designed to pull something out of a plane in flight. And that parachute pulled that bomb out. Now that bomb doesn't penetrate the ground, Rick. It actually sets off its blast in midair and has a 1-mile blast radius. That's how far the concussion wave, which is what this bomb is, the most powerful part of this bomb is the concussion wave, is designed to target. Anything within 1 mile suffered a real big concussion wave. Now, if you've never experienced a concussion wave, let me tell you, I have actually experienced a flashbang. I had a friend of mine who was police, and he actually set off a flashbang. You could feel the pressure change. Now, a flashbang, for those of you who don't know, is a small device designed to set off a small concussive blast and throw a big bright light in your face. Now, our special forces are trained to work with these, and you can ask any one of them. They will open their mouths and close their eyes to equalize the pressure. Well, that's just a small little pocket-sized device. Imagine the concussive blast from Moab. And you can feel the pressure pushing on your chest. So,
actually, from what I've heard, if what I've heard is accurate, apparently when this bomb goes off, it actually sets off a concussive shock wave that actually goes out for a mile in every direction.
Exactly.
Which is an astounding amount of pressure. For anybody who's not sure, I actually saw a video of it today. It was kind of astounding.
Yeah. There's some videos online from when we did the tests, and they are pretty impressive, Rick. Now, this bomb is designed to do one thing, primarily. It's got other uses, but is primarily designed to collapse tunnels and other underground structures without penetrating them. Now, will we ever get an accurate death count from this one? I don't know, because how do you count people who are buried in a tunnel? Anybody going to excavate that noise?
Well, right now the preliminary count is 36.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet there was a few more, and that doesn't count the supplies they lost, the artillery they lost, and the ammunition they lost. Not to mention their quote-unquote hidden routes that the terrorists gave up when we set off Moab. They can no longer travel in that area without being seen by satellite. Score! Now, there's one right tool for taking out tunnels, and it's designed to be Moab, because if you think about it, it costs about $1 million to train a Special Forces Green Beret. Anywhere between $750,000 and $1 million is the amount I've heard, because Green Berets get extra training, Rick and Dan. They actually go to language school, they learn how to plant bombs, defuse bombs, and do a whole host of other things that our regular soldiers, one or two of them will know, but not every single man. The other thing that's really awesome about Green Berets, they're trained to live off the land. And they also they're experts in hand-to-hand combat, they're medics, and they've got 1,000 other skills. In fact, I've often said, I'll take a Special Forces medic over some of the paramedics and people that shuffle patients around in this country.
Yeah, I mean, so sending Green Berets in is not just first and foremost, you have the human factor, but it's a serious asset.
Exactly. And how expensive is that asset? Exactly. So, in my mind, do you want to risk a fleet of 20 Green Berets at a cost of $20 million, or drop one bomb and collapse the whole infrastructure of those tunnels and maybe kill a few in the process and force them above ground? I think rather than sending Green Berets in to fight hand-to-hand in close quarters in a darkened tunnel using NVGs, and if you've never worn a night vision goggle or an NVG device, they are not the easiest things to see through, folks. You have a green, funky, luminescent light, and they are hard to adjust to. Now, our Green Berets are experts at that, but still, I don't want to stick them in those tunnels if we can avoid it. Because they'd probably miss an IED, and we'd probably lose 5 or 10. So, in terms of loss of life, which I'm sorry, human life is more precious than treasure. And you know me, I'm a huge supporter of our military folks. What were you saying there, Rick?
Actually, I wasn't. I forgot I already muted myself, and I was trying to keep from coughing on the air, so I hit the button, started coughing, realized I unmuted, and finished coughing on mute. So, sorry.
Oh, that's okay, but I'd say, and I think Dan would agree with me, that human life is more valuable than money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we can keep from putting our human assets in harm's way, I mean, why wouldn't we?
Exactly, and Moab is the one right tool that we have in our arsenal that has never been deemed appropriate to use in actual combat. Well, guess what? I think that was the concussive blast felt around the world, because if I know if I was Kim Jong-un, I wouldn't be sleeping real sweet. Wouldn't have been sleeping real sweet last night, knowing I'm probably going to do a nuclear test today. Now, North Korea has a couple hundred foreign journalists in it right now because of the Day of the Sun. Now, Rick, do you know what the Day of the Sun is?
Let's pretend for the moment I don't, in case we have listeners that don't know what you're talking about.
The Day of the Sun is the anniversary of the 1912 birth of Kim Jong-il. And Kim Jong-il, I believe I'm getting my right, Kim, was the founder of North Korea. And in North Korea, the leader, or dear leader as they usually say, is considered the sun. Now, I'm not talking S-O-N here, folks. I'm talking S-U-N, as in everything revolves around said dear leader. So the dear leader is revered. Now, the founder of North Korea is still deemed as the permanent president of North Korea, even though he is long dead and buried. And people have to place flowers at... If you're a tourist or a journalist visiting North Korea, you will be required... Oh yes, I said required. Not only will you be given your own government minder, you will be required to place flowers at the foot of the statue of the two deceased leaders of North Korea. This Kim Jong-un is the third problem child to rule. Have his own country to play with. What can I say? So, it is morning in let me see what time it is in Pyongyang. Do you know what? There's one difference between time in Seoul and time in Pyongyang. And do you know what that is and why?
No, actually, I don't.
All right, in Seoul, it is 12:23 in the afternoon, so it's almost 12:30 in the afternoon, as in lunchtime. Pyongyang refused to be on the same time zone as Seoul. So it is 11:53 in the morning there still, Rick. If that isn't just crazy, and just trying to throw a monkey wrench into the works, I don't know what is. I'm speculating here that their military parade is probably about over, and they're probably moving on to the next stage of their festivities. But like I said, I have to look a few things up on this. So I think that concussive blast probably had a pretty big impact, psychological impact on Kim Jong-un. Now, he has picked a bad time, okay, to decide to act a fool. Here's why. Have you ever heard of full eagle exercises, Dan?
No, I have not.
Full Eagle is an annual military exercise conducted by by U.S. and South Korea. Excuse me for saying North, but it is an annual military exercise between the U.S. and the South Korean military. We have approximately, and I'm just speculating from things I've read online and news articles and little bits and pieces of things that have slipped out. I'm going to speculate we have about 20% of our special forces in South Korea right now. And not to mention the peninsula itself is on a state of alert anyway because of the exercises. And then you throw the Day of the Sun, and that is only going to ramp up a little bit further. So I'd say, is this the time to act a fool without expecting some kind of blowback?
No, probably not.
I'd have to...
He's not. No.
He's not what, Rick?
The problem is he's not acting, though. He seriously is a fool, so there's a bit of a difference.
All right. He's quackers. He's crazy. I get it. But he's not the most rational tool in the shed. I get you. Now, I'm expecting... I don't know if he's going to back down from a nuclear test and go to a missile launch, which if they attempt a Musadon, would either one of you lovely cohorts just like to guess how many Musadon tests have been successful in the past year? Actually, period?
Actually, I missed that last bit. What was the question?
Do you know how many Musadon tests, their medium-range ballistic missile, how many of those tests have been successful?
Either like none or one, I think.
Actually, the number is 3, Rick. 3. 1, 2, and 3. But they've tried about 10 times. So, now, what makes this even more interesting is, up until recently, another highly sanctioned nation, namely Iran, was trading missile technology and weapons technology with the Hermit Kingdom, aka North Korea. Now, how would we feel if North Korea suddenly was able to miniaturize that nuclear warhead, put it on a missile, and then sold that technology to Iran? How would you sleep at night, Rick?
Well, probably not much better than I do now since I suffer from insomnia, but it would be worse.
Oh, yeah. And I know a lot of people that just would not sleep peacefully. So I do think we need to do something about all this chaos. And I got to say that that concussive blast called Moab, well, its official blast radius was about a mile. I think the psychological effects reached all the way to Pyongyang. Because do you know what Kim Jong-un did the other day?
No, go ahead and tell me.
He evacuated 25% of the population of North Korea, or of Pyongyang. Yes, 25% of the population of Pyongyang was told to get out before the Day of the Sun, which is unprecedented. Pyongyang has not been evacuated since the Korean conflict or Korean War, however you would like to term it. And I also am speculating here, pure speculation on this host's part, that the DMZ is quite the pucker factor zone right now.
Yeah, I think things are getting a little hectic over there.
I would agree so. And at the motto of our American troops who are stationed at the DMZ, or the Demilitarized Zone, which is the official border between North and South Korea, they have a motto. It's called, and it says, "In front of them all." I'd say today they may well be. The other thing that brought North Korea to my attention, now China, after the meeting with Trump, sent an envoy to North Korea telling them to basically knock it off. Well, I'm not sure if they're going to be successful, but all I got to say is, good luck. They're also picked up the phone. Xi Jinping also picked up the phone and called Trump and said, don't do anything rash. Don't do anything rash. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, according to our agreement with South Korea, because we are one of the their largest allies in the world, we cannot launch an attack on North Korea without their permission. So that would be the only fly in the ointment I see on Trump being able to do as he pleases. Or Mattis, in this case, being able to do as he pleases.
Yeah, I just don't really see that stopping him. I'm just being honest.
Well, I don't think he wants 25,000 military kicked out of South Korea. It's a very strategic location. Now, Japan is afraid that South Korea is going to load up those missiles with a bonus item. Do either one of you know what that bonus item is?
Wait, South Korea or North Korea?
Japan has said that North Korea is going to load up whatever missile they launch and actually shoot it at a target this time, and load it up with a bonus item, not just the explosives.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sarin gas, darling. Now, where have we heard of sarin gas lately?
Well, Iraq and then Syria.
Syria, thank you very much. Yes, Syria. Ding, ding, ding. That is the same chemical weapon that Bashar al-Assad used to gas his own people. Now, if North Korea is crazy enough to do that, I don't think anything's going to stop Trump, and I think that we may finally end that North Korean war. Or the Korean War. So, we are, as I am noticing, what time is it, Dan?
It is
time.
It's time to pay those bills.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
To get your free inventor's information, call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are live. This is Robinson and Wright. It's Friday night. We're into the bottom of the first hour. Now, just as a reminder, this will be the last time for a while that we do a 2-hour show. As much fun as it's been, it's actually become extra work for both of us. And now that Dan is going to be stepping out on his own and doing his own solo show on Wednesday nights, we are going to cut this one back to an hour to make sure that we don't overload him, because now he gets to learn how to do all the production stuff. So just for a second, I want everybody to stop whatever you're doing and give Dan a round of applause, even though he can't hear you, because he's actually the one running the board tonight. And it's interesting, to say the least. I'm not used to not having some form of control when we do shows. So, I mean, I still have my soundboard, so I can still have fun, but it just feels weird to not be the one in control. Which is just an odd feeling for me when it comes to this stuff. But anyway, we have been talking kind of all over the map. We've been talking about North Korea. We've been talking about the Moab drop, and that's kind of where I want to go for the next segment, because the whole next hour is going to be the guest J.D. Rucker, and we're going to be talking with him about the Federalist Party. But for the last half hour, I really want to drill down into this Moab thing, because part of what is really driving me crazy is the fact that when President Obama was in office, he literally dropped like 26,000 bombs on ISIS, and not a single Democrat uttered a negative word ever. Most of the time, even most of the Republicans were fairly straightforward about it and just said, hey, you know what? He's doing what he's supposed to do as president, needs to keep us safe, blah, blah, blah. But now that the shoe's on the other foot, we've dropped one bomb in Afghanistan. One. Now, granted, it was a big-ass bomb. I've seen the video of when it explodes. I swear to God, I think if I was anywhere near it, I probably would have crapped my pants. But let's be real here. If Hillary Clinton had done this, to borrow a phrase from my good buddy Beaker, there would be leftists and liberals and everybody all over the country tonight dry humping their televisions because they would be so excited because Hillary bombed ISIS. But now that it's Trump bombing ISIS, oh, this is terrible. It's the worst thing ever. We should be talking to these people. We should be negotiating with them. No, like hell we should be talking to them. Like hell we should be negotiating with them. These people use children and women as shields. They use children and women, and they strap explosive devices to them. They mutilate women for fun. They rape women for fun. These are monsters. You do not negotiate with monsters. You do not negotiate with terrorists. You kill them, period. And then you do whatever you want to do with them. I mean, I've heard people say things, like shoot them with bacon-greased bullets or coat their bodies in bacon grease. I'm not going to go that far with it, but there's no negotiating with them. First of all, we keep trying to westernize these people, and we can't. Their culture views diplomacy and things like that as weakness. They rule through fear and strength. Those are the only two things that they understand. I guarantee you this bomb drop got their attention because it showed a large amount of strength, and it made them understand that no matter how far they dig, no matter where they go, we can and we will find them. And they needed to know that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, even to go a little bit deeper with ISIS, I mean, we're talking about a group that has actually approved cannibalism. That's the kind of people we're dealing with. They're literally insane.
No, I mean, but let's take this and just narrow it down just a little more, because I want the picture to be clear here as to what would be happening tonight, or actually even last night, if Hillary Clinton had been the one to do it. The media would be praising her for going toe-to-toe with ISIS. They would be talking about how tough she looks, how strong she is, the fact that she put America back on a strong footing, and that she's standing up to ISIS, and that she looks like this brave, strong woman because she's going toe-to-toe with ISIS. But it's not her because she lost, so they can't say any of that because it's only cool when it's our side doing things. Look, folks, I've been pretty critical of the Trump administration, but I will tell you one thing I'm not going to be critical about is their activity so far with North Korea and the fact that we're actually taking the fight to ISIS again instead of waiting for them to come to us. That was a terrible idea. The problem is we've had 8 years of them coming to us, and we don't know how many of them are actually here now. I saw a report earlier today where they arrested, 20 or 30 suspected ISIS members in some small town out in the middle of nowhere. But everybody keeps talking about how the majority of the Muslims in America are peaceful. I'm not going to argue that point with anybody anymore because they may or they may not be. But I'm going to start using the same argument that I've been using now for quite some time. I'm going to hand you a bowl of M&Ms. Only 3 of them are poison. Have fun figuring out which 3 are poison.
Exactly. And it's when you were touching on the fact that the media would be praising Hillary if she did this. I mean, I heard somebody say the other day that the one other effect that dropping that Moab had was somehow it dispersed an awakening of all of the anti-war progressives. They were gone for 8 years. Anything that Obama did was fine. Drone strikes were fine. Dropping bombs were fine. Now it's not fine. They were all underground.
I want to be really clear.
They were
to
all,
me, it's not about fine. I mean, because I get where you're coming from, but let's be clear. If Hillary Clinton had done this and she was president, I would be saying the same things that I'm saying right now, because I believe that we should be taking the fight to ISIS. That's the problem, though. We have too many people that are not consistent anymore. That's just like I was in the middle of a Twitter argument with somebody earlier that was pointing out, the fact that the Republicans have destroyed the Senate and possibly the country because they used the nuclear option to get Gorsuch. I'm like, what did you think in 2013 when the other side did exactly the same thing? And then he was like, well, and then they didn't even give Obama's guy a vote, but they broke their own rules to get Gorsuch in. And I'm like, hey, you ever hear what happened in 1992 when pretty much the same thing happened when the shoe was on the other foot? This isn't a new thing. This is all things that have happened before. But that's what I'm tired of is it's only okay when our side does it. At least try to be consistent. If it was a bad idea when the other side did it, then it's a bad idea when your side does it. But I would be just as happy today if Hillary Clinton had dropped this bomb as I am with Donald Trump dropping it, because we need to be taking the fight back to ISIS. Some of the other things that are going on, I'm not so sure about. But getting the mental midget of the North back under control and reining in the goat humpers, both of those are really good ideas. Sorry, I keep talking a lot today. I promise I'll shut up.
No, hey, you're telling the truth. And I'm totally on board with what you just said. If Hillary was in office right now and she did exactly what Trump did this week, I'd be going, hey, I'm sure by this point I wouldn't be agreeing with much of anything she had done, but I would be praising her for it. I would say that was fantastic. And so would the progressives right now. But it's this whole resistance movement that no matter what Trump does, it's bad. The end. any agreeing with what he does, they are essentially they're essentially traitors to their own movement.
You know, and sadly, that is pretty true. Now, I want to get some feedback from the chat. We actually had Ron pointing out the fact that us having this argument about what the media would be doing if Hillary dropped the bomb is kind of pointless because she probably would be sending them a bunch of nuclear blueprints to appease them, which is probably more true than we want to admit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, they're, like I said, no matter what Trump does, they are going to be against it. And you and I have had plenty of criticism of some of the moves and things that Trump has done. But this was a great move. And, Mattis turned to Obama and said, "Hold my beer."
3 words said before you drop the biggest bomb ever. Hold my beer.
Yep.
Oh. But, just back to this overall concept of all the kvetching and the wringing of hands and the, oh my God, we have to find a way to educate them and we have to be able to talk to them. I don't understand that mindset. It reminds me, and I've talked about this before, but it reminds me of, there was a time, and my youngest son now is 16. There was a time when he was in middle school. I believe it was his last year in middle school, actually. I think he was in the 8th grade. He had someone who was basically been giving him a hard time for weeks and picking on him because apparently they liked the same girl. So the dude tried to pick a fight with him. My son tried to walk away and just said, "Look, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not interested in it." Tried to turn around and walk away. The dude followed him down the hall, tapped him on the shoulder, and cold-cocked him. Just smooth tried to knock him out. My son shook it off, grinned at him, reared back, and punched him right square in the nose. Broke his nose and chipped a tooth. My son and that kid both got suspended. We had to go up to the school and talk to them about why it is that my son was being suspended when he was the one that was defending himself. Well, Mr. Robinson, you need to understand, in this school we have a rule. If someone starts a fight with you, then what you're supposed to do is drop to the ground, curl up in a ball, and wait for a teacher. We call it the armadillo. I was like, wait a minute, so you seriously have a name for this? I was like, yes, that is what we teach students at this school to do. If someone is fighting with you, you drop to the ground, curl up in a ball, and roll up like an armadillo. So basically what you're telling me is you want a child in this school to basically give in to being pummeled until a teacher can get there for assistance. And then the rest of the sentence I used cannot be uttered on air. And I grabbed my son and said, "Look, if you're going to suspend him, that's fine, but I'm going to take him out to lunch because he did what I told him to do. You better not ever be the one to start a fight, but if somebody starts one with you, you better be the one to finish it. We didn't start this damn fight with ISIS, and I've been tired of the fact that we spent the last 8 years with our tails tucked between our legs trying to talk to these people like they're rational. They are not rational. They are insane. There's no other way to put it. They are certifiably insane. We do not need to negotiate with them. We do not need to come at them from a position of weakness. We need to come at them with everything that we have and bomb them so far back into whatever caves they've crawled out of that they don't come out for 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 generations. And then maybe then they'll come out and realize that maybe we need to try to be part of the world instead of trying to take it over. But until they figure that out, each time it just needs to be a game of whack-a-mole. Every time they show up, drop another one on them until they're gone. Period.
Absolutely. And watching some of these progressive celebrities and these blue checks on Twitter all saying that bombs aren't going to take care of this problem. We need love and hugs and we need to talk to them. There's no talking to them. I invited some of them to be the first ones to go over there and throw hugs.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take a collection. How about we get let's see. We could send Hillary Clinton. We could send Pocahontas. What's her real name? We could take up a collection and send those two to go out and hug ISIS and see what happens.
Yep. We'll send Lizzie. She'll take care of everything.
I would be willing to give up some tax dollars to go watch those two try to hug somebody from ISIS and see if they blow up. Is that wrong of me to say? Probably, but I don't care.
No, I think it's perfect. Yeah, we're dealing with a completely depraved culture, and talking to them isn't going to work. These are people that chain people to IEDs. They consider the mentally handicapped to be animals, and they use them to take care of their dirty work. There's no reasoning with these people. The only way to reason with them is drop a 21,600 pound bomb on them. That's how you reason with them.
Yeah, and that probably would have worked much better than what we've done for the last 8 years, which is why everybody's freaking out, I think, honestly, because for the last 8 years, we've had a community organizer trying to run the military instead of letting the military run the military. Now, I will admit, the president is still the commander-in-chief. He still needs to be the ultimate authority. But I like Trump's tack on it, because I've heard him say this more than once. It's like, look, I have military advisors that are professionals. Why would I not take their advice when I am not a professional member of the military? And he keeps saying that anytime anyone asks him, well, why did you let the general in Afghanistan make the call about dropping the bomb? Why wouldn't I let him make the call? He's the one who's there. He sees what's going on. Why is that a problem? It's never been a problem until the Obama administration to let the actual commanders of those regions run those military operations the way they saw fit. That has been common practice up until the Obama administration. And now that it's not, or now that it hasn't been, everybody's freaking out because they're like, oh my God, Trump's turning us into a military state. The generals are all telling him what to do. No, they're giving him their advice. And then he's deciding whether he's going to take that advice or not. But why would you not take the advice of generals that are basically the commanders of the area? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's not like he's saying, well, Mr. President, we're going to take this bomb right here and we're going to go drop it on New York City. Now, if he started listening to them saying things like that, then I might have a problem. But when we are legitimately talking about taking the fight to the people that for the last 8 years and for longer than that have been trying to find ways to get over here to inflict as much damage on us as possible and everywhere else around the world, it's time that we take the fight to them. We need to stop letting them try to come to us. That's always been our tact up until now, is to keep them bottled up over there so that we can deal with them there instead of having to deal with them here. Under the Obama administration, we just decided to let them all start coming over. And now, because of the fact that Trump has tried to curtail a lot of this immigration stuff that's been going on, but it keeps being overturned by activist judges. So now they're actually still having to implement the Obama rules about the number of refugees and everybody else that are going to get to come over here. We don't vet these people well enough to just open up the floodgates. The fact that we've made so many arrests lately of common, everyday, really bad criminals, now that they're actually paying attention to it, proves to me that we do not pay enough attention to who's actually coming over here. We need to fix that too.
Yeah, we do. And, I've got a little something I want to play, Rick.
Are you currently waging war against the infidel? Dreaming of the day you can become a martyr and yet Allah Akbar with bombs strapped to your chest? Stop! You don't commit acts of terror over religious fanaticism. You commit acts of terror because you don't feel you have a chance to earn a career. Well, now you can find a career that's right for you at
jihadjobs.com.
At jihadjobs.com, you'll find dream careers like camel breeder, goat shaver, hummus chef, desert realtor, and so much more. You'll also find those careers with competitive pay and other tremendous benefits like extended bereavement time if your family member was a suicide bomber, 48 hours of maternity leave,
not for women,
and much more. Introduce yourself to another bank besides the West Bank. Stop waging war against the USA and start contributing to your 401k. Stop raping, start reaping the rewards of an exciting career at
jihadjobs.com.
Your new career is just a stone's throw away. jihadjobs.com.
Website is for men only and approved under Sharia law. All women who access the website will be stoned to death. Other restrictions apply. Consult Allah for details.
jihadjobs.com.
Had to play it, Rick.
Oh, I actually forgot that we had that. It has been so long since anything like that's been relevant. I kind of forgot it was in there.
Do you think it'll work?
Have to give credit where credit was due. That was actually put together by Politainment back when they were running on the station. And sorry, it really does make me almost completely lose composure when I hear it. Those guys put together some of the best skit parodies I think I've ever heard. I miss them working together. We still have one of them, Daniel Stafford, still here and plugging away, but everybody else has kind of moved on, and it's just sad because they were such a talented group when they were all plugging in the same direction. It was just amazing to watch the things that they would put together. Sorry, now you've made me all nostalgic, so I'm over here waxing about olden times and stuff. But yeah, there are others that they've done that are just about as good. There was one about, I think it was an Afghani beauty pageant. I remember that one too.
Yeah, I think I remember that as well.
So, I mean, here's the thing. All I'm saying is, can we just stop being hypocrites? Look, if you were okay when Obama was dropping bombs, you probably shouldn't be so bad about Trump dropping bombs. If you weren't okay when Obama was dropping bombs and now you're mad because Trump's dropping bombs, at least you're being consistent. But if you were like fist pumping in the air the day that Barack Obama announced that he got bin Laden and now you're mad because we're actually taking the fight to ISIS again, you're a hypocrite. It's pretty simple. Because I was pretty happy the day that we said we got Osama bin Laden. It didn't matter that the president that did it was a Democrat. It mattered that someone that we were pretty sure was the mastermind behind killing thousands of Americans finally got the justice that he deserved, and he got up to go meet Allah and realized that everything that he had been told was a lie, and his 72 virgins were 72 Virgils. So, it all worked out pretty well in the end. But that's the thing. You have to keep a moral compass. My moral compass is always pretty much this simple. As long as people are not messing with us, we should leave them alone. But when they start coming at us, we didn't start this fight, but we better be the ones to finish it. And actually, I think we're getting pretty close to the top of the hour, even though I'm not the one running the clock right now.
Yes, we are. Well, Rick, where can everybody at least find you on social media?
Well, since you are still no account Dan, they can find me at AOTR_host on Twitter. They can find me on Facebook at Rick Robinson. You can also follow along on my main show's page, America Off the Rails. And we're not going away, folks. We actually have another whole hour coming up here in just a couple of minutes with guest J.D. Rucker. If you guys want to go ahead and just run that now, it actually runs for about an hour and two anyway, so we'll be good.
Okay. Yep. You can find me by email, and it's dan@KLRNradio.com. So if you want to shoot me an email, feel free to, and I'll let everybody know when I'm back on Twitter.
I recommend smoke signals because they'll eventually figure out a way to hack his email, and he won't have access to that either.
All right. Well, we are going to take a break, and we will be back with J.D. Rucker.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine Combat Veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 8687.
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works and all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Which if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course. Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.
And we are on in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, folks, welcome back. This is Rick Robinson. We're coming to you live right now from KLRNRadio.com. You are listening to Robinson and Wright on Friday night. I am joined this evening by my usual co-host who's been with us for the first part of the show, but now we have somebody else with us who's going to be hanging out for a few minutes, and I'm actually going to let Dan introduce him because he worked really hard to get us this interview. So, Dan, take it away.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, we're going to be joined tonight by J.D. Rucker. He is the founder of the Federalist Party, of which that I've become very interested in. And let's bring him on. How you doing, J.D.?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Like to start a little bit about you. I mean, how did you become? I know you're a businessman. How did you become interested in politics?
That's actually a very long and funny story, but I'll try to hit the high points. I was always interested in politics from the beginning. I mean, we're talking at a very young age, and it was actually I believe it was a 4th or 5th grade teacher who told me that I could never be president because, you know, my father was in the Air Force. He met my mother in the Philippines, and I was born in the Philippines, and therefore I was ineligible to be president. And I figured, you know what, if I'm not going to be able to make it all the way to the top, then I'll find another avenue. I started off in journalism, switched up to business after college because I had a family at the time, and so figured might as well try to make money, and that worked. The problem is that I started realizing that just leaving it up to a vote, leaving it up to people to make the right decisions, it hasn't been happening. It hasn't happened for 3 decades. And so I decided, particularly with this election, this was the last straw, the trigger that got me going in this direction. And I started looking for ways to make things happen, to bring conservatism back, to take freedom and put that at the core of our nation, and to fight for the Constitution itself, just as our leaders are supposed to. And the conclusion came to be that we needed to start fresh. We needed a new party. I looked at the other places, and they just weren't up to par for various reasons. We can talk about them later, but the GOP was definitely heading in the absolute wrong direction. So it needed to be something new.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I left the GOP about 13 years ago, and kind of sort of latched on to the Libertarian Party, but it's disjointed. And it really proved itself this past year to be extremely disjointed. And to have something come along, and I've read your platform, and the thing that strikes me most from your platform is the fact that you will not run a candidate as a spoiler.
Nope.
If a candidate doesn't have a chance to win, you will not run him or her. And I think that is a fantastic move, because it's starting. You want to start things. You don't care if it's at the city council level, and bring people in and move people up. I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, and that was the universal flaw of all the parties, which you mentioned. They have two things that they like to do. They love to run presidential candidates that have zero chance That's not just the Libertarian Party. It's also the conservative, the Constitution Party, the America's Party, all the various third parties that are aligned with us, perhaps in many ways ideologically, but they have a horrible strategy. They don't go for what's truly important, which is at the local level. Let's face it, you can't win the big game. You don't say, you know what, I'm going to pick up a football and I'm going to go try out for the NFL. This looks like a pretty easy game. I can feel this ball. I can carry it. Let me go shoot for the NFL. That's not what you do. You learn. You grow. You get better at it. Not to mention that local government, city government, state government, that should be where the true seat of power is, right under the individual itself. The individual, the family, that's the true top level of government in the United States. That's how it was intended originally. And then everything that flows out from there, as it gets quote unquote bigger, technically speaking, it should be smaller and end with the state and federal government as partners. And by partners, I mean co-empowered. There should be no reason for a federal government that is just so above and beyond the next level, which technically would be the state level. But let's face it, that's not the case. That is the case, but it's not the case of the way that the founders had intended it. They did not want the federal government to reign supreme over the state government or everybody else. And we've seen what's happened. Now that brings us to the challenge. The GOP is supposed to be the party that pushes in this direction. They stopped pushing this direction long ago. You said that you left the GOP about 13 years ago. I think a lot of us did, but not realizing that we did. It's and to quote Reagan, it's not that we didn't leave the Republican Party; they left us. We still believe in small government. We still believe in freedoms, and yet it's the GOP that is pushing further and further towards bigger government, towards fewer freedoms. Sure, during campaign season, they'll say things that sound good and sound conservative, but we just saw with Obamacare, that was a debacle. Okay, that was they did not run on a platform of let's repeal and replace it with something that is still going to be technically government-funded, government-controlled health insurance and health care, a tax plan, an economic plan that's disguised as a health care plan. They didn't run on that platform. They ran on the platform of let's get rid of Obamacare and let's find a good replacement. My perspective would be that let's repeal Obamacare.
Absolutely. That's what I was told.
That's what we were told. Exactly.
That's what we were all told for 7
We've seen this
years.
for years.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that was what we were all told for 7+ years. I mean, we listened to them hammer at home time and time and time again. Give us everything back and we'll fix this mess. We'll make Obamacare go away. When it was nothing but a gesture, they actually, if memory serves, last count, they voted to repeal Obamacare while they were the minority party 66 times. And the first time we gave them control of everything, they came at it like they couldn't do it, and they decided instead of repealing it, they were going to basically sand a couple things off around the edges, tie up a couple of bows as far as they were concerned, give some more cutbacks back to the insurance companies, and try to pass it as this big thing that was supposed to fix the Obamacare debacle, when really, in reality, all they did was add an extra letter to it, make it the AHCA, and then yell, "Yay, we fixed it, America, woohoo!" And it's not fixed. It's worse.
No, it's not. It's funny. There's this cartoon that used to, not a cartoon, as a little comic strip that used to circulate around, a little 4-panel comic strip. And it had this owner of a dog, this little dog that was on his leash, and he was being held back. He was barking at this huge dog with a spiked collar, and really wanting to get at him. The owner's holding him back. And then in the next panel, the owner drops the leash, lets go. And the little dog stops, and he looks down and realizes that he's not on the leash anymore. So he picks up the leash, hands it back to the owner, and then goes back to being held back because, my golly, he's going to get at them. In 2015, they passed legislation that would have repealed. They put it on Obama's desk. Why not pass the same thing now that you have somebody who's not going to veto it? It was a lie. That's the only possible explanation. They passed an Obamacare repeal that they knew he wouldn't sign for the sake of a pure deception of the American people. If they really wanted it to pass and wanted it to be signed, they have somebody in office who allegedly would sign it. Somebody sitting in the Oval Office who will repeal Obamacare. All they've got to do is say, hey, here it is. It's already packaged together. Let's take this and put this on Trump's desk. Why wouldn't they do that? What has changed? Has socialized medicine gotten better in the last 2 years? I don't think so. Things have gotten worse. Why would you try to repair something that's heading down the road towards disaster unless the intention all along was to have this, to basically give them something, as Trump would say, the Democrats now own this. Let's if it falls apart, it's on them. No, it's not. If it falls apart, it's because the Republican Party, the current Republican Party, was unable or unwilling or both to take the actions necessary to get rid of this abomination. This is horrific. I don't think that the average American realizes just how awful the Affordable Care Act is. And I'm pretty sure that most don't realize that the American Health Care Act isn't much better, if it's better at all. Okay? Why do we continue to do this? And this is the question you ask, why am I doing this? Why am I participating in the Federalist Party? Why are we pushing so hard and really trying to build something that most experts and pundits would say is impossible? Because we have no choice. We cannot rely on the GOP. That's clear, and that's been clear to a lot of people, such as yourselves. It's been clear to a lot of people for over a decade. For some of us, we've held out hope. We've tried to work. The Tea Party came along, and we started putting some small government people in office, and we were getting excited, and then that got corrupted. That was abused. And then we started looking, well, what about the Libertarian Party? What about the Constitution Party? And that's when I really started noticing that these parties, they might have some good ideas, but they don't have a winning strategy. It's not just the races that they choose to waste money on. Let's face it. I mean, to take all of your money and put it into trying to run for president, there was zero chance of anyone outside of the top three candidates to win. So everybody who's not one of the top three candidates, they are literally asking people for money to be thrown away, 100% guaranteed. Then you have the Libertarian Party, who puts out Gary Johnson and Bill Weld. And I'm not going to insult them as individuals or insult the party for having to deal with it, but I will say this. If there was ever an election where the Libertarian Party should have been able to get to that 15% arbitrary threshold that's out there to keep the two-party system going, if there was ever a year that they had a shot, they were given the two weakest candidates for the Democrats and Republicans in decades. Okay, and probably the two weakest when you combine them. They were probably the two weakest of all time. All they had to do was put up a principled person, a principled libertarian, to go up there, to put out the right message, to know where Aleppo was, and to not promote all these strange ideas. Okay, they just had to put together a solid candidate, and they couldn't do that. And then they couldn't promote even their lukewarm candidate, their mediocre candidate, well enough to get him to 15%. I think if you put the right person in there, we could have had somebody other than Trump or Clinton, had the right person been there and been able to fight his or her way to the debate stage. Because in those debates, what we saw were glaring weaknesses between the two that could have been overcome by just a multitude of people. There's plenty of people who could have gone on stage and embarrassed both of them, okay? But they didn't. They couldn't get somebody who could even get to 15%, and after all was said and done, couldn't even get to, 3.5%, 4%? That was the last straw, so to speak. That was where we were like, wow, there is no hope with the current strategy. There is no – it's not that the parties can't be fixed. The parties just need a new direction, and I think the only way to do that is to unite them, to bring libertarians under our wing, to work with the Constitution Party, bring them on board, to work with America's Party, and take that energy and passion and show them there's a way to do this without having to be the sacrificial lamb come election day, without having to be the throwaway vote, the protest vote. Like you said, we have no intention of ever running in any election that we are not very confident that we can win. We're not going to be the spoilers. We're not going to be to hurt anybody. We will throw our support behind candidates who can win, who also fit in our our paradigm as a party. They don't necessarily have to be in our party for us to support them. We're not here to. This isn't about the Federalist Party. This is about America. And if it's about America, then that means that we will support awesome candidates regardless of their party affiliation if they can win.
And I think that's a great way to look at it. And you brought up the way the Libertarian Party ran everything last year. I really ended up getting behind Austin Peterson. The man ran a great campaign with almost no budget and destroyed his opponents on the debate stage, and they chose Johnson. He destroyed Johnson on the debate stage. Absolutely. And I honestly believe that if anybody that ran on that ticket could have ended up on the presidential debate stage, it was Austin Peterson.
Yeah, but
and the funny part. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we talked about that. I've actually interviewed Nicholas Sarwark now a total of 4 times. Suddenly, he's no longer returning my calls, though. But, he was actually kind of a friend of the show for a bit during this election cycle, and we kind of helped push the Libertarian Party because we were kind of desperate in seeing the way things were going, and I even changed my registration to Libertarian here in Oklahoma to try to make sure that they got to stay on the ballot here, because Oklahoma has some of the most archaic election laws ever. Good news is they did manage to stay on there. Bad news is I'm so disillusioned with them. I'm about to change my registration to something. I don't know what. But the interesting thing is, after interviewing Nicholas Sarwark, and actually this was originally something that he'd asked me to keep off the record, but I kind of felt like he broke his word with me, so I don't really have an issue with breaking my word with him. And yes, Nicholas, I'm talking to you directly right now because I know you still listen to this show. He actually told me while we were on a commercial break that they specifically pushed to not back Austin Peterson because they felt like too many conservatives were trying to run under their tent, and they didn't want the Libertarian Party to become the new conservative party.
Sure. Well, and the funny part is that is, again, we talk about strategic mistakes. That's a huge, huge strategic mistake, because here's the thing. A lot of conservatives out there are realizing what they're facing. What they're facing today, it's not that what's the best way to put it? It's not that fewer Republicans or libertarians are conservative. The biggest problem and the strangest fear that I can see, but I don't know if a lot of people who are deeper into it are able to see, is that conservatism itself is being redefined. And that's a challenge that is going to, long term, if we can't correct this, if we can't reestablish the foundation of conservatism, and which to me, the foundation of conservatism, true conservatism, is federalism. So if we cannot reestablish what conservatism means, then the blurring of the lines between the Democrats and Republicans, which has been by design over the years, this blurring of the lines is going to blur the perspectives of the general population. I'm not trying to rip on average Joe voter who doesn't sit there and read every pundit and listen to talk radio or anything like that. I don't want to insult them, but at the end of the day, their perspectives are swayed by individuals. Their perspectives are swayed by the people that they learned to admire long ago. So if you see quote unquote conservatives starting to, for example, back fair trade instead of free trade, if you see them starting to push out, don't even get me started on Syria. If you start seeing those types of changes happening with the leadership, it's like, I don't know if you've ever read well, we'll get into Brave New World in 1984, perhaps maybe next time you guys have me on, because that's a whole other topic I could get into. But it's as if they're shifting what conservatives are supposed to think to the point that they're starting to believe it. We saw this with, again, free trade versus fair trade. 2 years ago, free trade was a mantra of conservatism. And if you were to poll people, the last poll I saw of it was back in September or could have been even October, where it was, and this is within the Republican Party, it went from like 73% to like 42%, something crazy. And we're talking about a year's time at that point. So 73% of quote-unquote Republicans, conservatives, believed in free trade until they were indoctrinated and pushed to believe in fair trade. They were told that we're no longer at war. We're not at war with Eurasia. We're at war with East Asia, and we've always been at war with East Asia. It's the strangest thing. That's the greatest fear. And what the Libertarian Party fears, what you were just described, is a symptom of not taking advantage of what the real problem is. Okay, rather than saying, "Oh, we don't want conservatives to infect libertarianism," we should look at it as, "Hey, we've got common ground." Okay, I don't agree with everything the libertarians say. I don't believe with everything the people in conservatives and other parties say. I don't disagree with everything the Democrats say, believe it or not. What I can tell you is this, though, that if we put at our core, at our foundation, the principles of smaller government and increased freedoms, defended freedoms, those two things alone are powerful enough to unite many, many people. And then you allow that united voice they can debate the individual topics, okay? But for example, with let's say environmentalism has been put down as a left-wing thing. It's only liberals believe in global warming and blah blah blah. But we can all agree that, or we should all be able to agree, if we take the politics out of it and look at it as a real issue, we can agree that the EPA has been an absolute failure. The national EPA does not need to exist. It's redundant in multiple ways, not just redundant within the federal government, redundant with the state and local governments themselves. The only reason that there should be an EPA at all is to regulate if there is interstate contamination, for example, but they've taken it much further than that. Now, how you can get even, whether they're liberal, conservative, anywhere in between, how you can get them to understand federalism is to say, look, you believe in the environment, that's great. Okay, so do we. But we believe that the environment should be handled. You can't take it from a global perspective. You can't go to Paris and fix the world. What you can do is you can work locally, as it should be. You can work locally, work on recycling, get a recycling plant built, get awareness for picking up trash, making sure that the air is clean, pushing for these things at the local level. And if we can get enough people to do this, then the environment itself could be saved if it is in danger. I'm not going to, don't quote me as, he's an environmentalist. The point I'm trying to make is that whether or not it is, we can all agree that a cleaner local environment is beneficial to everybody, whether it's for the ozone layer or whether it's just to keep the local area clean and safe and not smelling so bad. Sorry, I know that was a long rant, but you got me going.
No, that's good. I mean, the EPA should be taking care of stuff like the water problems in Detroit. That to me is environmental protection. You're protecting not only the environment there, but you're protecting the people. With the cars we're driving now and with the regulations in this country, we're not per capita. We're not polluting at all. Essentially, our cars are essentially putting water out of the exhaust pipe. What's China doing? I mean, are we saving the world by our little corner of the world being totally environmental friendly while the rest of the world doesn't care? I mean, it's environmental changes have been going on for millions of years. I don't see the proof that we're really putting that big a footprint on anything, but I'm willing to help. I lived in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago when I was a little kid, and I'll tell you, it's a lot cleaner now than it used to be. It's a nicer place to be. I'm all for that. I am. But to keep putting it the world's cleanliness on the shoulders of Americans makes no sense to me.
Absolutely. It's something, it's funny. So you say that the EPA should be focused on, for example, the water crisis in Flint. That's something where I won't necessarily disagree, but I'll tell you this, that it should be Flint, and then it should be the local area, of course. It should work its way up the ladder, so to speak, to where the EPA, which probably shouldn't exist, and let's say in an ideal world, the EPA is gone and it's just the Department of Energy that we have to worry about with such things as the environment. They should only get involved if they're asked. If it makes it all the way from a crisis goes from the local level to the city to the county, it goes to the state, and the state can make a decision. Do we want to involve the federal government, or do we want to take care of this ourselves? It shouldn't be right now. It's like, there's a disaster. Let's call it congressional hearings and let's figure out who we're going to point the finger at, and yet still it's not fixed. Whereas instead of worrying about the accountability of it, let's worry more about getting the problem fixed and deal with the accountability later. And the only way that it can truly be fixed is at the local level. We see things every day. If you'll indulge me, I'll tell you a quick story. Today I spoke to my mail woman. She was not male as in like a transsexual, male like she's the mailman, but she's a woman. Anyway, okay, so that's a whole other topic. So I was speaking to the mail delivery person, and here in California, she is, and I think it's actually everywhere apparently, but she has to go, and if she's going to leave her vehicle then to deliver the mail, then she must curb her wheel, turn the wheel towards the curb, apply the parking brake, turn the vehicle off, and then step out and do the mail. And keep in mind, my mailbox is there's a sidewalk that separates my mailbox from where she parks. And I kept noticing every day she has to turn it off, get out, take literally 2 steps to the mailbox, put the mail in there, close it, get back in, undo her parking brake, start the vehicle, turn the wheel, and then move on, drive forward another 20 feet to the next house, and then start the whole process again. Turn the wheel, parking. I had to stop her today. I said, "What? I know that you're not doing this because unless you had to, because nobody would do that unless they had to. What's the deal with that?" And she explained, well, there's something we got to do. And she was very noticeably upset about it. This is one of those situations where, at a local level, if we were controlling this, we could say, let's set it to where, okay, fine, you don't want your vehicle to be stolen, or you don't want it, rolling down the hill. Let's put some common sense measures at the local level, that in a situation like this where you have to walk literally 2 steps to put the mail in, you can leave the vehicle running for that exactly 4 extra seconds. Leave the vehicle running, step out, put the mail in, get back in your vehicle, and move on down the road, instead of starting and stopping your engine 40 times on my little cul-de-sac. That's ridiculous. And that's where but it's a decree that comes down from the federal government. These things don't need to be so, you can't solve problems universally. That's why the federal government should never have been allowed to have so much influence over everything that we do. But that's why we're here.
That's the whole thing. Starting and stopping that engine is putting out more emissions than leaving the engine running. And it's also putting more wear and tear on the starter and everything else, which we bought and is also going to end up having to be rebuilt or scrapped or put, it creates more is what it does. It creates more. They feel good because they think they're doing something good, but starting and stopping an engine puts out more emissions than leaving the engine running.
Sure. And it doesn't, okay, so granted, there's less of a chance that she will have her mail delivery truck hijacked by doing it like this. But that chance, the damage caused, everything needs to be looked at from the perspective of, does it make sense? People sometimes will ask me, do you believe in deporting all those people, all the illegal immigrants? And it's a question that I can't directly answer yet because I haven't seen what the possible solutions are. There's no way that anybody could say, you have to deport them all, or you can't deport them all, because they don't know the equations. If I were to say, take somebody and say, they're saying that you have to deport everybody. Anybody who's here illegally has to be deported. What if I told them, well, we could do it, but it's going to cost $2 trillion, which means that you specifically, you will have to pay an additional $370 a year to have this, make this happen. And you're going to pay that extra money every year for the next 5 years. Are you still sure that you want to do this, or do you want to look for alternatives? We can't address issues from the position of a tweet. Okay, we can't take things as a minute and a half soundbite during a debate and say, well, there's the solution. Everything needs to be analyzed appropriately. One of the good things, I didn't read the story. I need to read the story. I'm going to be quoting off of a headline, but I saw a headline yesterday that Ben Carson, in his initial audit, was able to find $500 billion worth of waste at HUD. $500 billion worth of waste at HUD. Okay, that's, I'm not suggesting that he's doing a great job. Maybe there's another $500 billion that we don't know about. But what I will say this is that should be an indication that the federal government is doing something very wrong in this very tiny department. If they're losing $500 billion in HUD, what are they wasting in defense? What are they wasting, at the IRS itself? What are they wasting in all these other areas? And the easiest way to prevent waste is by localizing. Okay, period. There are certain times, and I'm not one of these people that will say, well, you have to localize every single thing. No. That's not the case. There are certain things where it does make more sense to consolidate. But when it comes to most policies, if you believe in the perspectives of what used to be called layer cake federalism or dual federalism, and you actually take that and apply it all the way straight down, you get the ability to not just identify waste, but find the best ways to solve problems. Don't get me started on education either, because the entire education system being run from the Department of Education, this is a 35-year failed experiment. It should have been dissolved 2 decades ago when they realized, hey, this isn't working. This is not making education better. It's not making it cheaper. It's not helping the kids. And then invariably when you look at the studies for local schools that have taken responsibility rather than relying on the federal government, when you look at how they're doing better. When you look at charter schools, when you look at private schools, they have a tendency to do better. So what is it? What is the missing component there? Does that mean that we should completely abolish the Department of Education? Probably. But even before I would say that, I would say let's really truly assess what the Department of Education does, and let's figure out, is there a way to basically take only the good, if there is any, and utilize that and eliminate all the bad? Does that mean that we're going to have to get rid of a bunch of people? Probably. Does that mean we're going to have to get rid of a bunch of regulations? Absolutely. Does that mean that that education is going to fall apart? No. Now, then the big question is, does that mean that education is going to get better? Only if it's done properly. The whole idea of pulling the rug out from under anything is ridiculous. I'm all for repealing Obamacare, but I think that it should be done in stages. I think that it should be done in a way that does allow for the potential for partial replacement. Let me be clear about this before anybody says, "Oh, I'm for replacement." No, I'm not. I think that in the chances are very strong that if we were to repeal Obamacare, that things would get better over time. But there's going to be challenges that must be faced if we don't have some sort of replacement. So rather than coming up with, this is the repeal plan and then here's the replacement plan, let's repeal it and then watch what happens. Let's repeal the portions that need to be repealed immediately. Let's get those out of the way. Let's take the portions that can be repealed over time, and let's watch not just the reaction of politicians or talk radio hosts. Let's watch the reactions of the insurance companies. Let's watch the reactions of the consumers. To say that we could ever come up with a replacement plan today is ridiculous, because you don't know what will be the repercussions of each individual action. So you have to take it, monitor it, and then come up with a plan to fix any problems that arise as a result. If you were to say we're going to repeal it, and over the next 2 years, we'll say it's going to, some things are going to be repealed today, some in the future. We're going to take that and then push it forward and see what's going to happen, and then react. Perhaps put in safety nets for this, that, or the other. What we'll find is that the quote unquote replacement, which would be essentially a conglomeration of little mini replacements will be exponentially smaller than what we have today, and it will be exponentially smaller than any replacement plan that includes essentially socialized medicine. But what it will do is it will find the loopholes, find the people slipping through the cracks, be able to give them the help they need, and then we can also see other things happening, such as relying on the community, relying on charities, churches. We're in a world of GoFundMe. Certainly, there are ways to make this work without the government being directly involved. Let the market run it. Let the market handle this. If you open it up to competition, allow the states to not have it stuck with the states, allow for interstate competition, what you'll find is a few things are going to definitely happen. Premiums will go down. People will spend less money than they are today on healthcare. And let's then try to fix the problems that were happening before, because the whole reason that we had this was because there were problems that needed to be addressed. Let's address those properly over time. Let's figure out, let's take a steady hand approach to this instead of saying, well, we've got to replace it with something immediately or else we're going to lose elections. Because at the end of the day, let's face it, that's all this is. It's not a matter of, do they really think that they can't just repeal Obamacare and see what happens? No, they know that can happen. But they don't want to be the ones that have to be running for re-election and face the consequences because their opponent is going to say, he voted to repeal Obamacare, and then here's Bobby and Sally, they lost their insurance and so can't vote for him because he doesn't care about you or whatever. This is all about election politics, and it just drives me insane and makes me rant even further. So I need to take a breath. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we rant quite a bit on this show.
It's how I roll. So I think they're probably happy to hear somebody else ranting for once.
Nice. Rick, by the way, just as a side note, I lived in Oklahoma for about 15 years. So I went to high school in Oklahoma City. So I didn't know that you were an Okie as well. I'm out here in California now for the last decade, but I still watch every OU game.
My condolences, but I'm glad you're an OU fan.
So, yeah.
Well, I'm extremely excited with what you're doing, and like I said at the beginning, I'm on board. It's the approach. It's the approach I like. You can't just, like you said, you can't just go try out for an NFL team. Start with where you can get in the door. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to do. And yes. And I think the Libertarian Party started that way. But I think they got to the point where they were like, yay, we're on the ballot in all 50 states. Let's just push what we can push. And it's not the way to do it. And I know it's difficult. I know both the Republican Party and the Democrat Party have both made it extremely difficult for a reason to create a new party and get a new party on ballots. They've made it hard. And they've made it hard because they do not want to give up the country club that they all have in D.C. They just don't want to give it up. They don't want to let anybody else in. It's Augusta. D.C. is Augusta. Very hard to get into.
Mar-a-Lago. Yes, I agree. Well,
did we really have to bring up Mar-a-Lago? Really? Just kidding. Okay, so anyway.
Sorry. Well, it's funny that you mention it like that because it is. I don't know how much I want to get into the end game strategy and the strategy that we have that we're building that will allow us to break through that artificial barrier, that glass ceiling. But a big part of it is balancing between being the getting the word out there, making people aware of what we're doing, but not doing it in a way that is going to raise alarm bells. That's a challenge because once the big two, or we'll call them the big one, the Democratic Republicans, start to smell us, start to say, there's a challenge here. They can and will do what they can to push us away, to destroy us. And we have a plan that we're implementing to try to make sure that doesn't happen. Part of that plan is to not be noticed by them until it's too late to grow. We want to be able to sneak up on them in a way and break through the glass by being right next to the glass before they even notice us. They'll see, they won't even see us coming until the hammer is already in mid swing heading to break through that glass. That's when we hope that they'll take notice and start to be concerned about us. And by that point, it will be too late. We think we should be able to build up a groundswell around the nation that is a universal groundswell by taking advantage of the smaller groundswells in individual communities, and sneak into their backyard. And then suddenly they're looking up and seeing us, not just in their rearview mirror, but coming alongside them. I'm not going to say that we're going to have 50 million Federalists by 2018. That's realistically, that's not going to happen. I won't say it's not possible, but it's not possible. So I will say it's not possible for us to be there. But with that said, we can win it. And you mentioned, and I've mentioned before, winning city councils, winning school boards, winning local elections. That's not to say that we wouldn't get in there and go for state legislators, mayors, governorships, even congressmen, potentially even senators. There are some very notable and interesting names that we're talking to currently that would probably surprise some people at the national level. So we're not going to say that we won't. We're only going to focus on the local level. The only criteria for us to run is that we can win and should win. And let me be clear about the should win part. If it's somebody that is trusted, well respected, somebody that we can support. Just to throw out some names, Justin Amash, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, people that are either aligned with us very close or close enough. There's no point of even attempting to run against them. We're trying to get rid of the lower hanging fruit, the people that are actually against us, and by us I mean Americans who want smaller government. We might not agree with everything that Mike Lee says, but he does believe in smaller government. So the chances of us running against him in 2022 are pretty much nil. But hey, in 6 years, who knows? Maybe things will change. We're going to be targeting the people that are truly weak, that are truly vulnerable, and we will try to find ways to win those elections. And if we cannot, if the chance, and I'm not going to say that we're going to run, hey, we got a 1% chance, let's go for it. No, I don't want to waste any money. That's the biggest problem of everybody is every party out there is that they are still willing to waste money on losing causes. We will not. If we don't have a legitimate, true chance of winning, we're not going to waste money. It's too precious. People work hard for this. So we're not going to run in elections that we cannot win. Does that mean city councils? Absolutely. Does that mean, plopping down $1.3 million to run in a Texas congressional race? Sure. If we need to, we're actually talking to somebody who is, again, relatively well known, who would run down there. That's why I happen to know that number. We calculated out what would it take to get that victory, and it would be about $1.3 million compared to what they would be running against. Republicans have spent over $2 million there, and the Democrats have approached $2 million. So we don't think that we need to raise as much. We don't think we need to fight with as much. We have a better message. We're more pure, and we have a more technology-based campaign strategy. And that alone is going to save us money. You're not going to see us buying a bunch of primetime TV ads to get a congressman in office. That just it's not necessary. You can get the word out in much cheaper ways, in much more frugal ways, just as we would run the government. One of the keys is that we're going to run this party just as we would run if we were in charge, if we had majorities in the presidency. What we do as a party will be reflected by what we would do when we run in office, to the point of even when it comes to individual platform pieces. That's for the states to decide. The state Federalist parties will pick out how they want their platform to be. There's not going to be a universal top-down approach to, we're not going to lay out 85 planks. We'll lay out 3. That's it. We're going to focus on everything has to come back to reining in federal power, federal bureaucracy. Everything has to come down to the defense of freedoms that every American is entitled to. The Second Amendment, the fact that it's still up for debate is a joke. It's very clear. It's very concise. There's if you want to try to debate the definition of militia, that's fine, but you'll lose because it's that the definition as intended by the founders does give me the right, if I want to carry a firearm. I'm not going to break the law. I won't do that because I'm in California and I cannot. But with that said, I will fight for that right. I will push for legislation and for whatever legal means necessary to make it applicable for every American who is qualified. You can get in. I'm not going to touch the whole concept of felons or potential, the convicted abusers, domestic abusers, whatever. That's for the politicians to decide. But your average American should have the right to carry a weapon, and that's something that the fact that that's still up for debate after 230 something years, that's not right. That's a joke. We need to fix that. But again, that's probably for another show.
Well, yeah, and I to touch on that, I do feel bad for you in California. I did follow a close friend through the process of getting her concealed carry permit out there, and it was.
Oh, she's the one. I was wondering who the
other
person was that was able to make it through that process.
And guess what? She just left California, so she's gone.
Well, I envy her.
But no, I mean,
I love California, but yeah.
I do too. I love visiting there. It's a beautiful state. It's and I think I see from where you're going. I think even in say a state in California where you would have a very hard time almost backing the Democrat that would be better for what we want. I mean, it's sure. and that's what people don't understand. It's always about throwing money at the guy that's going to lose. How about throwing money at the guy that's better than the other guy instead?
Right. We're not going to hurt our cause by forcing a worse person into office because we're splitting the vote. That's a mistake that all the parties make. We have to fight to get the right people within striking distance of winning. But if we can't get them to that point, then we need to be able to decide: does this person, is this alternative? Is this second best person, to our person? Will this person be a good enough fit? And we'll need to decide at that point: is this somebody that we support, or do we abstain? There's going to be many, many races where we just don't, where neither candidate is acceptable.
So as we come to the end of the program, I'd like to give you a chance to go ahead and, if you'd like, tell folks how they can help and maybe get involved with the Federalist Party. Do you guys have a website or anything you want to give out while you're here?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to it's thefederalistparty.org. The is in the federalistparty.org. They can also find us on Facebook. Just do a search for Federalist Party. And if you want to contact us through Twitter, it's Federalists, plural, Federalists_USA. Those are all three of those are active. They're very, very much aligned with what we need to be putting out there. And if you really want to get to know us, that's the way to do it. If you decide that you want to help or participate, all three are easy ways to contact us. Whether you want to participate as a volunteer, by contributing, we like to look at it as investing, or just to get updates from us. Sign up. And it's free. You get to hear all of the good news that we're doing.
All right. Well, it's been my pleasure to sit down with you today. I think we have Dan back. Yes, we're here.
I'm back. We've had this little problem, JD, with Skype. For some reason, it likes to kick me off every once in a while. But I'm back.
It's because you're on your cell phone, hiding in your bunker in your hotel room, and you get bad signal. We've already discussed this.
I'm at an employment crossroad, JD. So instead of going out and signing a lease, I'm going to have to break. I'm currently hoteling it.
Nice.
Okay, so
I've had to hotel it before. It's fun.
He can spend this all he wants. He's at the hotel still for the cleaning. He's already told me this off the record.
Yes, I don't have to clean.
That's the best part of it. That's the best part of it. Just let them come in. As long as they don't mind the mess, they can come in, fix it up for you. It's almost worth it in some places to have that quote unquote free housekeeper.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say free because they're charging you an arm and a leg to stay there. But on that note, we are officially out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I want to thank Mr. J.D. Rucker for joining us today. Dan, thank you so much for working so hard to get this set up for us. It has been a pleasure to listen to him talk about the Federalist Party today. And for those of you like me that have felt pretty much politically homeless for the last several years at this point, I do encourage you to take a look at their website, see if maybe you can find a way to find it in your heart to give them a shot. I know we are kind of still actively looking for somewhere to go because the Republican Party continues to move further and further left, and most of us are kind of tired of hearing about it. We didn't actually get into the Syria situation on the show, which is probably good because my blood pressure couldn't handle it. But let's just say that I'm not real pleased with some of the decisions that the current president has been making. You guys got anything else you want to say on the way out? Because we are officially down to about 2 minutes.
No, I just wanted to thank JD for coming on. We have a mutual acquaintance that really kind of brought you to me, and I'm real happy. I'm really impressed, and I'm starting to feel like I'm finding a home.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys having me on. This is our biggest weakness, is that by trying to work it from the grassroots up, that means that we have to get out there to the people that are reaching the grassroots, such as you guys. So this has been a wonderful opportunity. I appreciate it.
You are more than welcome, sir. You're actually welcome back anytime. And that is going to do it for this particular episode, folks. We are out. Take care. God bless.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hey, this is John Preston, Marine combat veteran and Pacific Records recording artist. Just reaching out to have you check out our new album, Battle Cry, Songs of America's Heroes, an album featuring phenomenal other combat veteran artists like Scott Brown of the Scooter Brown Band, Ryan Weaver, Rowdy Johnson, just an incredible mix of people. This is all veterans telling our stories and our lives, and we're giving 100% of our proceeds to the Valkyrie Initiative to help veterans and first responders integrate back into society. I myself have battled with post-traumatic stress for many years and lost my own brother, a Marine Corps veteran, to suicide. I ask that you step with us and make this happen. We are in pre-order right now and release on March 17th. Go to iTunes, go to Amazon, buy. We plan on making the charts and making it at a very high level, and your support right now makes a difference. This is the release of my new song, Superman Falls, which is actually about the loss of my own brother, which happened last year, and I would love for everyone to check it out, to listen, and hopefully it'll make a difference in many lives.
Here's George Foreman with InventHelp.
Hi, I'm George Foreman. Do you have an idea for a new product or invention? People ask me all the time, George, how do I get my idea in front of companies? How do I get a patent? What do I do next? Do you have the same questions? I'll tell you like I'll tell them all. Call my friends at InventHelp.
Call InventHelp today for free information. InventHelp has been helping inventors for more than 30 years and has sales offices nationwide. InventHelp can submit your invention to companies who are interested in receiving new ideas. If you have an idea and want to try to patent it and submit it to companies, you should call InventHelp today for free information.
Listen, I can't guarantee a company will be interested in your idea, but I believe every inventor deserves the opportunity to step into the ring and take their best shot. Put InventHelp in your corner.
Get your free inventor's information. Call 1-800-353-6490. That's 1-800-353-6490. Again, 1-800-353-6490.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.